let's get started. There will be plenty of time for schmoozing and networking and talking and eating cookies afterwards. So thank you for coming. Welcome to an evening of civic engagement with the Jewish Community Relations Council. And I'd like to have Rabbi Asher kick us off.
Thank you so much, Rena. I'm just so excited to see what a great crowd and people committed to civics and civic engagement. In a second, I'm going to introduce Eileen Freed, who I've only been here at the JCRC, at the Jewish Federation of Greater Ann Arbor, for 2 years. But right from the start, Eileen has been saying, you got to get people involved in commissions. And I just want to say something very quickly. And then there's a beautiful blessing that Rena took from the Reconstructionist synagogue. So I'm very excited about that. That, there is talk in the Jewish community, and probably there has been talk for a while, like, well, what do we get out of all this? What do we get out of being involved civically and alliances and coalitions and all that? What do we get? And I think that what I've learned in Greater Ann Arbor is that this is a Jewish community that wants to get involved in the community and civics, because that's what we do. We get involved. We want to make this a better world, a better community. We're not looking for utilitarian or anything like that. We really want to make this place a much better place, a place which really is good for all its citizens. And so I'm so excited to see such a great group here tonight. And I'm going to read this. It's a little bit of a different blessing. Nivarech et ruach hakehila. Let us bless the spirit of this gathering. And let us bless Asher Kitshanu b'mitzotav, the one or whoever. I want to be very careful about this. I'm an Orthodox rabbi trying to read the Reconstructionist blessing, but Asher, maybe Asher. I'll say that. Asher Kitshanu b'mitzotav. We were commanded with commandments. What is the commandment? La'asok b'tzorchei tzibur. To work on the needs of the community and to work there. And so I want to introduce Eileen Freed, the CEO of the Jewish Federation of Greater Ann Arbor, really who has inspired me and so many others, along with our incredible committee at JCRC and Decky and Wendy, for really making this happen. So Eileen, it's all yours.
So I didn't really know I was going to speak. So first I'll give you a little announcement. The flashing lights do not mean there is an emergency. It means that there is a malfunction, and as the team is trying to fix it or get it fixed, they have learned that if the lights go off, it buzzes. So we're going to go with lights, and thank you to Jeffrey and David who, rigged up some covers. And we'll get by. And so just want to make sure everybody knew there is no emergency. And second of all, I want to welcome everybody. It's such a great crowd here. We're very excited to hear from a range of different people who are involved in our community in so many different ways. It is truly a dream of mine to have this evening of civic engagement. There's so many ways. I can say for myself that until I met some of the people in this room, I didn't know all the ways that there are, not that there are to get involved, but that we need people to be involved in our civic life in this community. And so I'm really grateful to those teachers and mentors, and I'm really excited that you all are here to learn more from them as well. So with that, I'll just hand it right back over to Rena.
Thanks, Eileen. So again, my name is Rena Bash, and I'm on the Jewish Community Relations Council leadership team, who, along with Eileen and many others, came up with the idea for this program because it is so important it's really a connection with our Jewish values, particularly Tikkun Olam. It is our responsibility to repair the world. It is our responsibility to take care of our community. So civic engagement is really a Jewish value. It's also kind of in our DNA to get involved, right? Like, we want to make a difference. The Torah, it's a lot of genealogy, but it's also full of laws, right? So we want to get involved. We want to take care of the community. We love to study. We love to debate. That's perfect, right? To get involved. So we have this tradition of community responsibility, and we have a culture And so tonight we hope that we can have more of the conversation in addition to the why we want to be involved. Maybe we're going to hear from a lot of people and maybe they'll share why they're involved. But also, like, what is there to do out there and how to get involved. So the agenda for this evening is we're in the welcome and introduction, then we'll go through the different types of civic engagement. You'll hear from a lot of people, and then we'll share some resources, and then there'll be time for networking so you can follow up with the people or the groups that you're interested in learning all about. So I imagine that everybody in this room is already pretty civically engaged because you're here. So how many people vote? Yeah, look at that. The entire room is civically engaged. And you probably all researched the candidates and everything else. And then I want to also point out how many people in this room are already either served in public office or led a nonprofit, served on a board or commission. I mean, I'm looking around the room, and so thank you. Thank you all. And so now it's time I want us all in this room to consider who's not in the room. And so you're going to hear a lot of opportunities tonight, and you probably know most of them. So maybe consider who's not in the room, who needs to be in the room. Who do you wish were involved? Who do you think would be good at doing some of this really important community work? And what can you personally do, not just to invite them to participate, but to enable them? Babysitting the grandkids is like a win-win-win, right? So just to think along those lines, let's get more people involved. And so I guess the other thing, yes?
We have a special
We do have a special guest, and maybe I could let her jump in right now if you would like. Or
yes.
Yes, okay, Asher says yes. So Congresswoman Debbie Dingell just happened to be driving by Washington. And saw that we were having a gathering.
Thanks, Bree. Actually, several people here asked me to please come, and then Prue and I had a discussion last night, are we going to go? And we both said it's important. So Prue and I are here. So, and I wasn't planning on speaking. I was just really going to listen. And I know more people would be here if there wasn't a conflicting event right now, which I made before I came here, the movie. But I really think it's more important than ever that people, everybody in this room, I know almost everybody because I've worked with you on a project or something. But there's never been more of a need for people to be involved and to be engaged. And one of the things that strikes me is how tired people are, how worn down they feel, that they don't think that they can make a difference. People are becoming afraid, ICE, and what is happening. I've heard more people be afraid. They don't want to be targeted. They're afraid. And look, you all know this. I'm in a synagogue right now. People are doing searches on the internet, and their searches are being followed, and people are showing up at their front door. People don't know that that is happening. We have the stories that are going on. I got, last year on Jake Tapper, I said, he's going to build, he's threatened to build concentration camps. We're going to have them. And Jake took me on it. Fox made fun of me made fun of me is a good way of calling. Again, I got death threats. But we have a detention center that's going to be our neighbor. Tell me the difference. It is different. It is. They're not trying to kill people, but they are going to detain people. They are. It's not.
It's not.
People are okay. It's not. All right. I want to.
It's not students here, but come on. We don't need to compare. This
okay. I'm sorry. I've said anything.
It's atrocious what's going on, but it's not the Holocaust, and it's not.
It's not the.
It's not.
I don't want it to become one.
Okay. Well,
I'm sorry I said anything. I wasn't trying to. Anyway, I just think, I did not mean to hurt you. I would never do anything to hurt anybody in this community. I stand up every time I can for everybody's people's person. And I'm sorry. I think I should apologize, and I'm sorry, Rima, you had me speak.
Let me just say, can I say something? Right. I just, I want to thank, I know we're passionate, and we're really blessed to have you here. And we're blessed to have your voice also, Sharon. You're going to speak later. And this is a night about being passionate. Now, I just want to say that JCRC and the Jewish Federation of Greater Ann Arbor, we are nonpartisan. We even had there's some Democrats here, and there's some Republicans here. So really, we're all together, but what we share, Representative Dingle, is passion. And passion to make this a better world, and when we see problems, we fight it, and we'll talk to each other, and we'll work it out with each other. But that's what this evening is about, passion for civics. And back to you, Rita.
That's right, and I love that word, passion, because it lets us get back to talking about how do you connect to your passion? How do you have an impact around your passion? And I guess, I'm sorry, I didn't actually take a moment to introduce myself. I said my name, Rita Bash. I'm currently the Director of Elections for Washtenaw County. But I moved to Michigan because I took a job in fresh out of grad school, went to the automotive industry in material science and engineering. And I worked in that field for 15 years, but then in the meantime, I got angry about something that I saw happening about land use in my community, and I ran for township clerk. I spent 21 years as a township clerk. I'm not a lawyer. I didn't go to school for public policy. By the way, then I got angry about something else, and I got involved in redistricting reform, and I spent about 4 years as the outreach director for a nonprofit organization doing Voters Not Politicians, doing redistricting reform. And now I work as a staff person in elections administration. So I just want to say that you don't have to be a lawyer. You don't have to have your career. You can give a few hours. You can volunteer. There are so many ways where you can follow your passion and have an impact. And that's what we're really talking about here tonight. And so to get back to the agenda, which I can't.
There it is, it's up there.
There it is.
No, it's, okay.
Tech support.
I'll change the page.
Okay, so there. That's embarrassing. Thank you. There's so many different ways to get involved, as we mentioned, and here are the types of, or buckets, I'll call it, of organizations and ways to civically engage. There are political or partisan organizations, right? And this is, so what you can do in this area, and this is more political engagement, not exactly civic engagement, but a piece of civic engagement is political engagement. You can participate in political parties, political committees. You can join caucuses. You can be a precinct delegate. You can work for candidates. You can run for office yourself. Or you can work elections. This working elections, the way, this is near and dear to my heart. This is why it's great that I have the microphone right now. So I can recruit you all to work elections. And this is also a crossover between the parties and serving in civic engagement and being involved in government. Because the political parties all have a role in working elections. We need people from both parties working at the polls, and people from both parties also serve as challengers in the polls. So the next bucket of ways to get involved is civic or government. And this could be more than just running for office, right? This public service is service on all kinds of boards and committees and commissions. They can be elected, but there's an awful lot of appointed roles. And local government needs your help. We need your skills and expertise. And there are many levels of government in which you can participate. City and township, everybody either lives in a city or a township, right? They have different structures, but there's opportunities for civic and citizens to participate in both. There's opportunities at the county level, the state level, and your local school districts forgot to put library district on there. Sorry, Prue. The third bucket is nonprofit organizations. There are 501c3s, which are the charitable or educational organizations, and the 501c4s, which are advocacy organizations. They might work on public policy issues, such as voters' rights. They might be just a grassroots group or a local community group. Now, we're going to have people that are here tonight to speak to all of these different areas. But I also want to point out that, that whatever issue you're interested in working on, or whatever your passion is, you could actually do it in any of these different areas. And I guess the one that's popping into mind right now is land use policy, or water, or the environment, like land preservation. You could work in your political party on policy issues. You could work with your political party to elect candidates that share your values. Or you could serve on the Farmland Preservation Committee, or something to study groundwater in a government capacity. You could work on the Planning Commission to help with land preservation. Or you could work with a nonprofit organization like the Legacy Land Conservancy or the Huron Watershed Council. Or you could work with a 501c4 to advocate for legislation. So give me any issue and I will tell you that you can find a home in any of these areas. I have another one, but let's keep it moving. So next we're gonna move into each of these buckets, and the first one that we're gonna talk about is partisan engagement, and Decky
And I have a guest star.
Well, first, I think Decky's going to introduce the whole topic.
I'll introduce the topic.
And then we have Stuart and Jason are also here. So,
I want to be clear. Hi, everybody. My name's Decky. I need a mic. Okay. You can do it. I'm really shy and introverted, so yes, it's totally true. Hi, everybody. My name's Decky Alexander, and I have many hats. I was past president of the Federation. I'm involved in the TBE board. I'm also chair of the Jewish caucus of the Democratic Party, and I'm also involved in the Michigan Democratic Party as well as a vice chair. And we'll get to all of these roles in a minute. But a little bit, I want to talk before I talk about the state party, which is really going to be my role, a little bit, but talk a little bit about political parties. So first of all, I have been involved in politics since I was 18. So I worked on the Duke Caucus campaign, and I've now dated my stock. And I wore a sash, and I walked around the neighborhood, and I was in Wisconsin, and you know what? They did not vote for him in northern Wisconsin. I do want to tell you that. But I was in college at the time. But I thought, I can't complain about anything without doing something about it. So my only entry point was a party. I didn't know how to get involved. There was a college party, and I found my way in. And then I found my way into supporting people. And then people are part of parties and ideas and resolutions. So part of it is that if you believe in something, you don't want to sit on the sideline. I always felt that I should figure out a way to step in. My vocation is I don't know if it's the antithesis of politics, but it's theater. And so, maybe it's not anymore. But it is, and it's allowed me an intersection between the two. So I think one of the things we want to talk about is just party. There's a lot about the party as the government and the elected, but really what we're going to be talking today is party of organization. The organization, the activists, the day-to-day business, the staff, the donors, the volunteers who canvass, and the people who I like to call sometimes are the influencers of a party, the delegates, the officers, the people who become involved in making resolutions and platforms. People always ask a lot of us, how do you get involved? How do you get involved in being a delegate or being able to have your voice participate and platform? How do you do that? So one of our goals today was to give you a doorway, a window, so you might be able to walk in and find your own pathway and possibility. So before we get into the party, get some specifics of the state party and how to get involved, Teresa's here, and she is chair of the Washington County Democratic Party, and she's going to talk a little bit about the how and the what.
It's so fun to do a duo with Decky. Nobody's more fun than Decky. So hi, everybody. I know a lot of you here. Eli Nathan's over here is on the executive board of the WCDP. Lots of you are members. If you're not a member, you should become a member, unless you're Republican, which you won't want to do. But,
They can talk to Stuart and Jason.
there you go. Okay, there you go. So our party is one of the strongest county parties in the state. We punch way above our weight. In 2024, although we're all very disappointed in the outcome of that election, we in Washtenaw County have the strongest showing of any county in the state. Our net for Kamala Harris was plus 44, which was much higher than anybody else. We generated more votes for Kamala Harris than Oakland County, which is 3 times our size. We generated half as many votes as Wayne County did, which is 5 times our size. So we're really doing well, and there are lots and lots of ways to get involved in the party. I asked Felicia to pass around 2 things. One, this document, which tells you all the stuff that we do, and all the ways that you can be involved, okay? So, and I'm happy to provide the organizers with a digital version of this for anybody who didn't get one tonight. But major things. One is monthly meetings that are organized by Eli Nathans and his team on the programs committee. Super, super impressive monthly meetings on Saturday mornings with candidates. We have candidate panels. We have information about all kinds of issues across the state and county, including homelessness and hunger, and and what's happening in Lansing and what's happening in DC and how it's affecting us. And so those are really, really good. And then we have, we're part of, we actually founded the Washtenaw Alliance, an anti-fascist coalition. Washtenaw Alliance 2026 Plus, we're calling it. We're doing informational potlucks every Sunday. Not every Sunday, I'm sorry, every month on a Sunday. And those have gotten really popular and really interesting. All of this information is available at our website, washtenaw-dems.org. And we also, I guess, I'm gonna put this down because it's just awkward to hold it. I want you to be aware of, first of all, the voter guide that we've put out. How many of you, Jackie's, sorry, Rena's shutting me down already. I have pages of material.
That's why I'm getting started.
Super quick, how many of you have seen the voter guide, the Washington? Thank you, yes, okay. We started that in 2016, and I want you to know, first of all, it is an incredible amount of work. But also, that voter guide has cut down ballot drop-off by half since 2016. Yeah. So that is a huge, huge deal. We've evolved it, thank you very much. We've evolved it into the mivoter.org, which is a year-round guide to your representatives.
Can you explain what the MI voter is for folks? What the guide is?
The voter guide or the MI voter?
I just wanted to know what you meant by.
Oh, down ballot.
Down ballot.
Oh, down ballot.
You said down, something dropped.
Yeah.
Non-partisan. So here's the thing.
More people
Settle
know.
it.
Huh?
I got it.
You got it? Okay. Rena's gonna just like take it away from me. Okay. The last thing you need to know is super important. Like, I'll tell you, the members, just members of the Democratic Party choose our state nominees for Attorney General and Secretary of State. We do that, just members. So you need to join, go to washtenaw-dems.org and join the party so you too can have a voice in who our candidates are for Secretary of State and Attorney General. You have to join, I'll tell you, but not now, because Rena is just like, you can see that she's pacing. I mean, it's like Donald Trump in the first debate, right, with Hillary. Jeez, oh man, it's like.
Then you have to go to Detroit.
Yes, you have to go to Detroit.
So you have to join
Yeah.
how much?
30
20
days.
days in advance, 30 days in advance. It's on this document, okay, all the dates. I tell you that Rena will let me.
March 20th, March 20th. March 20th, 2020.
March 20th, April 19th convention.
For the
March
April-
20th.
For the April 19th convention.
You're allowed to.
Yay.
She's taking it away from me and giving it to you again.
Oh, no, I think we're. Are you done? Okay. Yeah,
Thank you. All right. Thank you. We got the count, so that was we got a lot of buckets to get through, guys, come on. So, that was represented from the state Democratic Party and the Washtenaw County Democratic Party, and now we have Stuart, representative from the state Republican Party, and Jason, a representative from the Washtenaw County Republican Party.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you, Rabbi Lopatin, for letting us participate in this event. Really excited to be here. I am a little bummed before I begin remarks, and I'm sure you're going to give me the wave down to shut down, shut up and sit down. I'm really kind of bummed because I wanted to say hi to Congresswoman Dingell. She's not here anymore, is she? She left. So in a previous life, so I've been doing involved with the party in some capacity for a number of years now, starting in 2000. And at one point in life, I worked for a congressman in Oakland County by the name of Joe Nolenberg. And he and his wife, it didn't matter what was going on the floor. It did not matter what was occurring, the battles that we were fighting. That couple, John and Debbie and Joe, and now I'm gonna cry. Because now John is gone, Joe is gone. I'm sorry, guys.
It's an emotional evening.
I know, right? It's just really sad. And I wanted to say hi to her, but if somebody can convey that story the next time you see them, that would be wonderful. So very quickly, I'm switching tracks on what I was going to talk about because it seems like, is there anybody in this room that is not civically active at all?
Would they dare?
All right. So I'm going to switch tracks just slightly. So over the course of my career, I have met several people that have done their political science degree. They've gone to U of M, Grand Valley, Michigan State, doesn't matter. And invariably, anytime I ask them, do you guys actually discuss in your class what we're actually doing now? And invariably, the answer is no. The answer is no. Like yesterday, I asked somebody, found out that he had political science. I can't remember where he went, it doesn't matter. But his response was, quote, zero. And I follow that up with a story with, several years ago now, I was talking to a woman, and this woman basically said that, this was, 3 weeks before the national convention. She's like, I want to be a delegate. I want to be a delegate to the national convention. And I'm like, and I was very, very polite. And I said, you kind of had to start the process like 2 years ago. And I thought about that. Because the biggest problem, well, politics is not a secret society. Anybody can get involved, correct? But nobody knows how. Nobody knows the steps. Like if somebody calls me, and I can say, yeah, you want to call your county chair in Washtenaw County, become a precinct delegate, and that's the steps. But we got to get that message out there, no matter what side you guys want to participate on, right? Because I'll tell you what, I didn't know what a precinct delegate was. I couldn't have told you what a convention was. I couldn't have told you how the Attorney General, Secretary of State, Supreme Court, I couldn't have told, how do those people end up on the floor in the national conventions? I couldn't have told you that. I still barely know. In fact, Washtenaw County, a different county, Washtenaw County, according, and I'm not sure about the other side, but Washtenaw County, according to state law and our internal bylaws, is different than every single other county in the entire state. And I still barely know it, and I've been doing this for 20 plus years. And try to explain it to other people. My point being is that I could go on and on and on and on about you know, the levels of the party. We have the county parties, we have the state parties, and how it kind of mirrors the federal government. Well, granted, we don't actually pass laws or anything like that, but there's similarities, right? But I think you know a lot of this stuff. We have to bring people into the fold, and we have to explain what the process is about and how you can make a fundamental change. All right, makes sense? You're standing up. So I know one of the things that we wanted to do, and I know it sounds like there is a difference between, one difference, and I wanted to be crystal clear on this, that in the Republican Party, we do the same thing. The conventions decide, the Attorney General, Secretary of States, the U of M, Board of Regents, all these things, right? But in the Republican side of things, you have to be a precinct delegate to go to a convention. You have to be a precinct delegate, then you have to go to a county convention, get elected to go to the state convention. So that's just I mean.
Wait, to go or to vote? Can anyone go to observe?
Any precinct delegate. So the precinct delegates on the ballot will say delegate to county conventions. If you are a precinct delegate, if you are, in our rules and our bylaws, if you are a nominee for an office, you won your nomination, or if you are an elected member of a county, countywide, state house, state senate, congressional members, then you are an automatic delegate to go to the county conventions. Then there are certain at-large, we're getting into the weeds here, and we can talk about it a little bit later, but then those people will elect folks to go to the state convention, right? Make sense? And I'm gonna stick around. I live in the Grand Rapids area, and so I'm not gonna make it home for bedtime tonight, so for the kids. So I'm gonna stick around until a rabbi kicks me out, and then can I just give a couple of minutes to Jason just to talk about the actual process of running for precinct delegate.
I'm really happy to be here. Rena and I actually exchanged emails all the time. This is the first time I got to meet her face to face, and I got to tell you, lovely woman. So yeah, I'm the chair of the Washtenaw County Republicans. I actually didn't get involved until 2019. And I can go into my backstory. I'll probably do that with you separately. I won't tell you exactly why, but suffice to say, it was from the scripture. Jeremiah 29:7 was one of the main scriptures that got me involved. And it says, they went into the exile, pray for the city wherein I have sent you, which is amazing. When we're talking to probably a religious crowd of some nature. God said he sent them there. And he said, pray for that city. The welfare of that city will be your own welfare. And that got me involved, because I was taught, actually, don't get involved. Politics is dirty and nasty and terrible and ugly, and nobody should really do it. Well, if nobody should really do it, who's doing it? So anyway, that's not why I got involved. But from the county party, so what Stu was saying is, on the Republican side, you have to be a delegate to vote at the county convention, to vote on the floor, but anybody actually can be voted in to go to state, but we give preference to our precinct delegates and our at-large delegates. So what does it mean to become a precinct delegate? It's the same thing actually on the Republican side and on the Democratic side. You go down to Rena's office, which is 200 North Main, Ann Arbor, and you fill out an affidavit of identity saying who you are, that you want to be a delegate for. It's a partisan position. You want to be a delegate for the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, whatever. They will, you sign it, they will notarize it for you, and then all of a sudden you show up on a ballot. The first time I showed up on a ballot, I was giddy. I found my ballot and I took it to all my kids. I said, look, pause on a ballot, right? So anyhow, that's what you do. You go down to the office there and sign up. They'll put you on the ballot in August in the primary, and then you might have to actually run a primary race. We actually have lots of precincts where we have 10, 20 people who want to be a precinct delegate and only 4 slots. And that's all determined by the county chairs. And so, Teresa, where were you? Yeah, she'll have some number of slots per precinct on the Democrat side, and I do the same thing on the Republican side. We have to turn that into Larry at some point.
April 1st.
Really soon, yeah. And she did send me that email. Hurry up, get it in. And so you might actually have to run a primary race. That was actually kind of exciting to be able to run a primary race for precinct delegate. We like to call precinct delegates the foundation of the party. And I think it really is the same thing on the Democrat side as well. They are that sort of on the ground, boots on the ground, warriors, if you want to call it that. I just saw Rena stand up. I'm going to stop right there. If you're interested in becoming a Republican, come talk to me afterwards. I know it's probably not going to happen, but I'd love to talk about anything. Partisan or not partisan, I really would love to talk to you. Thanks, Rena.
Thanks, Jason. And I really appreciate that Jason shared what brought him in to politics, what moved him. And now I'm going to introduce Julie Grant, who's going to take us into the next section of getting involved, and that's getting involved in local government. And I think that Julie, do you want people to come up
panel.
soon?
Yeah, everyone who's with me, come on up. Yeah, I think we can set. I think there are a couple more of us though, right? Oh, then I can yeah, but at least you'll be here, right? We'll all hang. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Julie Grant. I was asked to talk to you about city government, but I'm going to tell you a little bit of we wanted to talk about like the why and the what and the how, and I think part of my why happened before I was even born. I was raised in a small town in Western Massachusetts with very small Jewish population, but shortly before I was born in the 70s, my father helped found a family planning organization in someone's basement. And I think the first thing I remember reading, the first memory I have of reading something said, every child is a wanted child. So so that was kind of this, I was raised with this very strong ethic of service. And I came to Ann Arbor for graduate school, and I met my husband and stayed, and then we moved back, and I was a youngish mom. I had a 2-year-old at home, and someone who my husband worked with said, we need a soccer mom on the Parks Commission. And I will not identify that person. Maybe some people can figure it out. But so I ignored the sexism in that statement, and decided that this was a great way to get involved in my community, because we have great parks in Ann Arbor. They wanted more active users, which is what that person really meant to say. Who were a different demographic and have that kind of voice represented on our 160 plus parks here in the city of Ann Arbor. So while I was on that commission, I started noticing that people were sometimes using parks for kind of their own somewhat nefarious purposes, and felt that I needed to be a presence on some of the committees and commissions that parks had a seat at that table. So I got to know a lot of people in the city. I eventually became chair of that commission during a time when we were cutting budgets. So I got used to people coming forward who were, rightly very passionate about this topic, who had a range of emotions about that. And I thought, okay, I can deal with people being angry with me. This is okay. I can explain my decisions, I can own them, and I loved being part of the Parks Commission, because every time I would go out, whether it was in my neighborhood or somewhere else in the city, and sometimes I would stand in my own neighborhood park right down the street from here and just kind of stand in the middle of it and see there'd be people doing all different kinds of activities, right? Kids on the playground, and people walking their dogs, and playing basketball, and there's senior center, and it was just a really beautiful thing to feel like I could have an impact on people's quality of life. So I decided to run for city council, and I lost my first election by 65 votes, and then decided to run again the next year, and in a 3-way race, did okay against a couple guys. So I spent 8 years on the Arbor City Council, where I served on a lot of different kinds of boards and commissions, a lot around land use, public housing, some social service issues, although when I was asked to say what the city does. So city government does kind of everything but schools, libraries, and most social services. They do a little social services, but most of that, Felicia's gonna talk about that with the county. So, but a lot of things that are both like really impact your everyday piece of life. And I think what's been said, but I think it bears repeating, is that you're not going to be able to fix everything, right? But you can, I think everyone in this room can do something that they care about, and sometimes you'll be doing more, sometimes you'll be doing less. But people would say, for example, with housing, they're like, well, but that one policy isn't going to fix the whole problem. It's a whole, well, yeah, sure, but that can change. Having stable housing can change the trajectory of an entire family's life, right? Over and over and over again. So I think if we all can do our part, and now I continue to do things. I sit on the board of Jewish Federation. I am on the board of the AAATA, the RIDE. I'm doing some things for the state Democratic Party. So now I feel like instead of being in one sector, I'm kind of using that experience and branching out, maybe not as intensively, but into different places. And also just wanted to really briefly touch on what it's like to be a Jew in these spaces. And as someone who grew up in a county where my bat and bar mitzvah class for the entire county, there were 3 of us that year, I was not always really comfortable speaking for such a heterogeneous group of people, right? And so even as an elected official, did not always feel comfortable when we had people coming in front of council saying some really horrible things that don't need to be repeated. But there were some inflection points, and one of them was actually when my award partner and I, Zach Ackerman, came here to Beth Israel to speak on their 100th anniversary. And then at another point, I was sitting at the council table and people were saying some really just, atrocious things. And I thought about my great-grandfather who had wonderful skills in forgery and would comb through Yiddish newspapers, finding people who died, and then created false documents to bring people, that's a true story, bring people over to Boston where he was living. And as people were spewing these lies, I was like, but my great-grandfather didn't do that because this was made up, right? He was doing it because he was really trying to save lives and because what was happening was real. So at that point, I did start feeling that more comfortable expressing that perspective and that voice. And I think no matter what your degree of religiosity or practice, it's really important right now to have Jews in these spaces. And I guess I'll just end with that.
Thanks, Julie. I'm putting on my township hat now for, I promise, only a minute or two. So everybody in Michigan, you either live in a city or you live in a township. And in Ann Arbor, your postal address might say Ann Arbor, but if you pay your taxes to Pittsfield Township or Scioto Township or Ann Arbor Township, or any of the other townships around here, Superior Township, you live in a township, and the government structure, I'm gonna turn from that heartwarming, passionate story to the dry mechanics of getting involved in township government. So township government is very slim. There are 7 elected officials. In some townships, there's only 5. So there's a supervisor, a clerk, and a treasurer, and 4 trustees in most townships. You can run for those offices. They are thankless jobs. They need your help. They are basically running the business of the small government unit. If you don't have time to run or interest to run for office, if your township needs your help, every township has a planning commission. Every township should have a zoning board of appeals. Every township has a board of review. What else did we have? Well, we definitely have those three. So they are populated by citizens, and they hear, for example, planning commission, if you're interested in land use, you want to keep all those data centers out of your community. That's a planning commission role. Developers present site plans to the planning commission, and it's made up of citizens that have to evaluate these proposals for their community. Same with the zoning board of appeals. So I am just gonna make the plea that if you are unhappy, or you know somebody that's unhappy with what's going on in their community, that's a great opportunity to get involved and to make a difference and to follow your passion and to take care of your community. So look on your tax bill and figure out where you vote and where you can get involved. And with that, Felicia is going to tell us about county government.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy to be here with all of you. And I'm so grateful to Ducky for asking and Rabbi for having all of us. This is an incredible group. In the middle of the week, when there are so many other places that we can all be, everyone has chosen to be here. And that says something about each one of you, but also about our community and the investment that we have in our community and all of us wanting to make it better. And so I love that. So I was thinking, as I was listening to both Julie and Rena, our family was in New York City this past weekend, and we were walking around a particular neighborhood, and I'm like, oh, this New York I like. Like the other part, like Times Square, there are too many people. Just too many people. And there are a couple other places. Like Soho was, our daughter wanted to go shopping. It was too crowded. We were walking. I was like, this I like. Civic engagement is like that. There's a civic engagement place for everybody, for everyone. And so there are lots of places and ways to get involved. Julie talked about boards at the county. So I got to serve as a county commissioner for almost a decade here in Washington County. I loved it. And our county commissioners, much like city council, but unlike township, we represent different districts. In the township, they're at large. And so on the county commission, I got to represent Pittsfield Township, a little bit of Ipsy Township. And there are, like Julie talked about all the things that the city does. The county there are lots and lots of county parks and preserves. I hope you all enjoy them. They are spectacular and wonderful. But think community mental health, the sheriff's office, the clerk, like getting all of our certificates, those things that we need, the treasurer's office. There are roads. There are so many things. Oftentimes, county government does the things that we all don't think about. Right? They're the things that, until there's a problem, then we're like, oh, who do we contact? And it's usually the county. And so that work was phenomenal, but there are also public health. That's a really important one. So there are so many things that you can get involved. If you go on the county's website, you can see all the different committees, and there are always positions that are open and available. They go on a rotating kind of base cycle. And so there are lots of ways to get involved. And Julie talked about this too, and Rena as well. Nonprofit boards, and I know we're going to talk about that, but it's a spectacular way to really hone in on an issue. So I right now get to serve on several different boards, and I love it. I mean, there are four main things that our county commissioners are talking about. They just had a 6-hour retreat 2 Fridays ago. And so they're really focusing on housing, hunger, health, and homework, right? Education, right? So the 4 H's. Yeah, the 4-H club, right? So they're focusing on those 4 things, and they do a lot in those areas. And the boards match that. There are also, the committees, there are also so many nonprofits in our area that do spectacular work. And we all need to be working together, particularly with what's happening right now, just the volatility in our world. We all need to be working together in all these different ways. And that literally there is a place for you, right? If county government is too crowded, like Times Square, don't do that, right? Like if it's going to a local board where it's much smaller on the townships, and my husband is a township trustee, and he'll be like, we just finished our meeting, it was 15 minutes. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding. But there's lots of things that they do, like outside of the meetings, like when they're learning, like, about the budget. Like, now they're talking about, should we have a State Street corridor? Right? There are so many neat things to get involved with. So I will be here afterwards, happy to talk to anybody, and I'm just grateful that I get to share space with all of you. Thanks.
I don't know who's next.
Oh, great.
Hi, I'm Sharon Sorkin.
Hi, I'm Margaret Schreiber.
And I think we're going to kind of bridge government to nonprofit because none of us, or the two of us, are not elected officials, and we haven't served. We actually have one person here who has run for school board before, but we are involved in AAPS and the school board. I would call both of us sort of accidental nonprofit co-founders. I'll tell a little bit about how we got started and then what we're doing today. So. We got deeply involved when our school board was sort of used for political purposes versus educational purposes. And together with the Federation, and JCRC wasn't yet up and running here yet, but with the community, we put together a petition called Focus on Education. And the whole point was just to ask community to support that we want our district to do what the district was voted in to do, which is to focus on education. We got about 2,000 signatures from the community, which was compelling. And it told us that there was, a groundswell of people that knew what the role of the school district is, regardless of your perspective on a global conflict. Unfortunately, that didn't go the way we wanted. The school district passed the ceasefire resolution, you guys might remember. For me, the most concerning part about was that it instructed teachers to discuss the conflict in the classroom with no sort of curricular direction. That was really concerning to me, and Margaret and I kind of got together at the time.
Yeah, I mean, I had limited experience just 5 years earlier where my daughter had been in class where a teacher had just kind of gone rogue, and I talked to Eileen Freed for quite a while. She helped me afterwards go talk to the schools, but I could see what was happening, and I could hear what it was like among the other kids when they were told by their teacher that Israel was bad, and there were like expletives used and all sorts of things that made my poor girl, who was just 13, feel somehow like she did something wrong because she was Jewish. Now, my daughter has a lot of cojones, and she actually stood up and engaged with both the teacher and this other kid. But the point is that when the ceasefire resolution thing came up, it was really activating for me as somebody that had sort of seen it like lurking, sort of moving around. And by the time we got to January of 24, and the ceasefire resolution was passed, it felt like we have to be more proactive about this.
Yeah, and I think for me what the insight is we're a small community. We're a small community in Ann Arbor, and we're a small community worldwide and in this country. And so like any good, sort of advocacy, this is about finding commonalities. And I can't think of anything more important to a community like Ann Arbor than education. And so we've really worked from there to build a coalition around focusing on education. So we're a 501c4, so you mentioned sort of the difference. So as a C4, we can endorse candidates, and we can take positions in lobbying. And so with that, we worked pretty hard with all of you and with the support of many people in the community to help identify and support candidates to help make the school board a more balanced and focused group, and they're doing a great job. They're not perfect, no elected group is, but they're doing a great job. Now they're under some heat around financials right now. The teachers are underpaid, and that's a deep issue. We've been focused on a couple of sort of key educational issues, one around literacy, and making sure that the literacy educational initiatives that came from the state are implemented in Ann Arbor. We've also been working closely with other community members around devices in the schools and technology in schools and how that impacts mental health, learning, and all of the like. And then, as many of you know, there's an election in November. There will be 4 seats open again, so it could flip. And it could go from a balanced board to a board that's activist. And so from our perspective, we want a board that's focused on education, which means we want to help identify candidates that are here for our kids and for education. We need help. We need to find and identify candidates, and we need all your support. People. Hopefully we all value the education. And that's kind of what we're working on. So we'll pass it to the other nonprofits. But there is one person here who's run for school board before that if you want to talk to him afterwards, we can put him in touch.
Thank you so much, Sarah and Margaret. So, back at the ranch at Federation and JCRC, over the last 2 years, we had some meetings, and even before, actually, there was a real desire to have a Jewish parents of public schools kids affinity group. And we've been working with the school board, the staff of the school board, and to really make that happen. So we now have a affinity group. We have an email, it'll be on our website, and we're really working with the school board, and we want to work with all of you, want representatives from each school to really, in a very positive way, bring a Jewish presence into our schools, such as Jewish American Heritage Month. And Esther is one of the key conveners of this, so for 30 seconds, fill in what I've left out.
Thanks, Rabbi. Yeah, so the district has been really responsive, and last year they had the first recognition of Jewish American Heritage Month in the schools, which is fantastic. And we're looking to expand that with other parents around the county. Be happy to work with them in their districts and their school systems. We've also been scheduling different events about Jewish American heritage and culture, and we're continuing to work closely with the district and any administrators. So yes, if you want to help us by letting us know what's going on at your school, send us an email to the email address, Jewish Families, or Families in Public Schools.
Yeah. Or just send it to the Federation or me, we'll make sure, Asher@jewishanarbor.org also.
What month is that?
May, the month of May, yes. So this year there will be a fair at the Ann Arbor District Library, so keep your eye out for it.
Thank you, thanks Esther.
I love that natural flow. We were talking about the school board under, local elections, and it went right into how people, Sharon and Margaret, cared so much about what was happening with those people serving on the school board that they basically formed a 501c4, which is like an advocacy organization, and so and the affinity group. So now we're going to move into how I'm going to introduce Beth Bashir, who previously served as the mayor of Ypsilanti.
It's a word.
I know. I was stuck on the city of Ypsilanti, not the township of Ypsilanti. And she's gonna, and then if anybody is here from any of these groups, we're gonna let them also have a 1 to 2 minute to explain how you can get civically involved in these nonprofits. So,
All right,
Thank you, Rena. And I just want to say that it feels like a badge of honor to have Rena have to stand up and cut you off at some point. So I just want you to know I'm going to earn that. No, as somebody who has held office and also done work in nonprofits and also worked in at community levels, I've decided that this is what I want to talk about at this time. This is where my world is at this time. And nonprofits can be often perceived as less volatile than politics, a little bit easier to access. You can come into a nonprofit as a volunteer and earn your way up very quickly, become a leader very quickly, and it's a wonderful way to get involved. Before I turn it over to the folks that are going to talk about some of these specific areas, I'm going to speak for just a moment about community involvement outside of organizations, okay? And the example I'm going to use is a very current example. It's about immigration and refugees that are being arrested at this time. And you all may not agree with me. In fact, in this room, I doubt that anybody agrees with me, but or everybody agrees with me. But I will say that this is exploding in my community, and it is also exploding in Ann Arbor. And this is all happening in a very flat way. Outside of there are great organizations that are doing amazing work, but the people that are showing up and watching for patrols who are passing out information, that's happening at the grassroots level. And if anybody's interested, thank you.
and some of us are making and distributing these kits that have a whistle and several pieces of information in bilingual. You know, we've got them in Spanish and in Arabic so far, and we're working on others. And these made 400 in my house, 400 of these. And by the way, most of them are gone. So that's happening. And speaking to doing this as a Jew, in the progressive environment, it's not always very friendly. And I just want to say that it's really important that we not disappear from this issue, that we be very present. And this is true of almost all issues. So we are doing this work in my household as proud and visible Jews. And that seems to be, so far, going well. Although there are people that will not be friendly to us, and that's going to be their problem, not ours, because we're going to keep on working. So, thank you. Now, there's various areas that we're going to talk about here: advocacy and education for policy issues. Which is there somebody here for that? Okay, great. Nomi. Let's break the crowd up, Nomi.
Thank you very much. Asher told me I could talk for 45 whole minutes. Just kidding. Hi, I am the Michigan Director for Jews for a Secular Democracy, and we are all about protecting the separation between religion and government. So we are a nonpartisan organization. We don't endorse any. We do get involved in issues. There's a whole host of seemingly disparate issues like LGBTQ, censorship, repro justice, secular options for substance abuse treatment, all election protection. All of these issues which you may think they're not connected, they are all connected because they're all issues of separation of church and state. So that's where we get involved. Only in the United States, we don't take a position on anything that happens outside of the United States. We're a great organization for people who just want to get involved. Some of our people are seasoned activists, some are people who have never done anything. For example, we have a program where we will teach you how to figure out who your elected official is and talk you through how you call your elected official to advocate for what you want. We also we're very involved in ballot initiatives. I have two pieces of paper on the back table, one which is talking about every single ballot initiative that is in play right now in Michigan, and then one, because I had so many questions about it, is a deep dive just into the Americans for Citizens voting initiative, which is the one requiring documentary proof of citizenship. I'm also available to come to any organization, even if it's just like your book club, to explain what all of the ballot initiatives are, what the opponents say, what the supporters say, where the money's coming from, what the impact of it will be. So that's us. Since I know Rena wants me to go on and on.
So in this topic of advocacy and education for public policy issues, I also just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge A More Perfect Union provided a grant for this event. And another type of advocacy and education group is called the A2J Climate Circle, and Annie Wallach, our leader, is here.
Thank you. We have two people on our panel here tonight, but this is a new organization, the Ann Arbor Jewish Climate Circle. How many of you have not heard of it, or maybe have heard of it but don't really know what it is? Good. Glad to hear it. So basically, this is an organization that I started a couple years ago when I decided that there was a gap in what was happening in our area, in the Jewish community, around raising awareness around climate issues. And I decided just the word I wasn't reading anything, I didn't know what anybody was doing. So we created this organization, and right now we have a panel of about eight advisors, and we have about 10 of our organizations, our larger organizations, who are members of the organization. And at our core, we're a coalition of the Washtenaw County's Jewish organizations that are raising awareness around climate. And we have basically two initiatives. One is you may be reading the Washtenaw Jewish News and see articles that talk about what's happening in our community around fighting climate issues. Just this last month, or this month, there was an article on Eva Solomon, who is considered a hero. She's putting on races that are zero waste. So we're supporting the initiatives of Washtenaw County and the zero emissions vision. The other thing that we're doing, I'm blanking on. Thank you, Rita. Quarterly, we're putting on potluck Shabbats, sponsored by the various religious organizations. And we just had one this Saturday, sponsored by Recon and the A2 Climate Circle, which was lovely. I had a cold, couldn't make it. But I heard it was well attended and very lovely. And I encourage the next one will actually be in May. And if you'll watch the Washtenaw Jewish News for our events and what's happening in the area. So my ask is that if you're interested in raising awareness around and fighting climate issues, please reach out to me, Rena, or Ellen Abramson later. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna jump ahead, but I just wanted to, that's right, just wanted to call out the different types of nonprofits and examples of all of them, right? Like we have in our community charitable nonprofits such as Jewish Family Services that definitely they need your engagement. Their ballot initiatives are another way of civic engagement in a nonpartisan way, and there are organizations such as Voters Not Politicians, I won't put any of you on the spot to speak to it, that do that. Voters' rights, that's also something I think that it's all near and dear to the Jewish community, and there are organizations such as the League of Women Voters that need your help to do things like set up candidate forums or help get the word out or education sessions. And other nonprofit organizations deal with the community issues and action. And for example, the Jewish Community Relations Council and the Washtenaw Black Jewish Coalition. There's a group called Postcards for Patriots. And lastly, nonprofit organizations that deal with education, such as the parent-teacher student organizations or youth mentoring. And now we have, is it Amiel?
Yeah.
To talk about a phone-free schools initiative.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. Is that for my button or the initiative? So yeah, my name is Amiel. First, let me establish my Ann Arbor credentials. I moved here, my parents moved me here in 1973. And my first campaign was for Perry Bullard, which I know Liz recognizes, 1978 state rep. So just a few words about childhood. When I was growing up in Ann Arbor, we did all the crazy things that kids did. We were nice to each other, we were mean to each other. We did it face to face, right? When we went to lunch at school, we talked to each other. We did all the silly things, but we did it face to face. Have you ever noticed that the eyes are down these days? I think we all notice our eyes are down a lot, but the kids' eyes are down and their brains aren't ready for it. So I'm part of Screenwise Ann Arbor, and we're an alliance of parents, teachers, and community members who are working on this in a number of different ways. One of them is we are advocating for nudging and supporting the school board in not doing a classroom ban, which is what the state legislature mandated as the minimum, but in making schools phone-free all day. You give up access to your phone when you walk in the door, you don't get it back to the end of the day. In between classes at lunch, you look at each other face to face. What an idea. It also makes it a lot easier for teachers, instead of 7 class periods a day for, 75 classrooms, say at Huron High, where my son's going next year in 9th grade. Instead of every class period having to fight with your students about whether they get to keep their phones or not, you don't need to do that anymore. And Ann Arbor teachers are underpaid and trying to make money. They're not thinking about this a lot, but we still have about a third of our core team are teachers. Many of the 1,100 people who signed our petition are teachers. So that's one thing we're working on. If you're interested in that, We have a lot of ways to be involved. Second of all, for those of you who are parents, not of adult kids, I know a lot of you have adult kids, parents of AAPS kids, we're starting to form parent packs based on Jonathan Haidt's 4 norms. You want to make childhood better? Number 1, delay smartphones until high school. Number 2, don't open social media accounts until you're 16, because that's when you become the product and the algorithm controls your mind. 3, phone-free schools, and 4, play-based childhood. Now, one of the things we need with play-based childhood, and I'm guilty of this, is we overprotect our kids in the physical world. Not that any Jewish parents would ever do that, but and we underprotect them in the digital world. So, but you can't do this alone. It's very hard to delay phones, to be the only one. It's a collective action problem. So around the country and here in Ann Arbor, we're going to start forming parent packs. So for those of you who have kids in the schools, we have people in very many different elementary schools. Come talk to me. We'll hook you up. And the last thing, just an idea I came here as I was listening. As I was looking at your faces, is that we need support for kids to go on their own without their parents to parks. Maybe this is a job for the boomer generation. I don't know. Thought just occurred to me. So Screenwise, a2.org, Amiel, just look for the button. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Amiel. All right, so you've heard a lot of what? Now, how do you get involved? Honestly, search engines and AI tools make finding these opportunities easy, right? You live in the city of Ann Arbor, you just Google City of Ann Arbor boards and commissions. And same with City of Ypsilanti, same with Washtenaw County. JCRC will follow up with all you attendees with a resource sheet with some of these links. I had noticed that Decky had actually already done it on the JCRC, on the Get Involved in the December newsletter. So it's out there, ask, and we will be following up. So at this point, I just want everybody to also follow up with each other and say a big thank you. And if there are any questions that you'd like to ask the group, we can take a few questions, but I think the cookies are getting cold.
I just wanted to put in a plug for an organization I'm involved with. It's called Arbor Angels, and it helps seek to bridge the partisan divide and lower the temperature. It's a wonderful organization. We have a local alliance, Arbor Angels.
Great, yeah.
I think there's some confusion about, this has to do with the Democratic Convention in April in Detroit. I think there's some confusion about what membership you need to have 30 days before the convention. So maybe.
So yes, that was, Teresa, I didn't know, Teresa, I think she left. Yes, anyone can be actually a member of the Democratic Party. It does not cost you anything. There was actually an updated list where you can actually go to a link and you can register to be a member. And once you are a member, you can of the state party. However, if you go to the Washtenaw WCVP, it will connect you to the state website.
It's a Michigan Democratic Party.
It's the Michigan Democratic Party, yes. But when you go to the Washtenaw County, if you say you're a member of the Washtenaw County Democratic Party, your membership is actually at the state. So you're actually part of the state party.
That is unique to Washtenaw County.
It
So
is
if you
unique.
live in another county,
It's not, you're
you
part
have
of
to
the
go to
clubs.
the Michigan Democratic Party.
So just to clarify, if you join the Washtenaw Democratic Party, you are for theory are part of the Michigan Democratic Party?
The link goes to the Michigan Democratic Party, so yes. There really is, when you click on the WCDP, it connects you to the Michigan Democratic Party. That's the link. I checked it today. So that's what it is. So you can vote. So in order to actually vote, so it's really interesting, learning about the Republican process was interesting, really different actually, in the sense that you don't have to be a precinct delegate, you can be a member, and then you can vote at the convention on April 19th. That's what you can do. And to do that, so you can sign up, you have to sign up 30 days ahead of time, so March 20th, and to vote for Attorney General, Secretary of State, our Supreme Court nominations, yes. We have also State Education Board. We have our trustees, Michigan State. We have Wayne State, and we have the University of Michigan. So in order to there's a lot of people here in our community that are running for those offices. So locals there. So we really need people to come. You can't, it's not digital, you can't call it in. This is about showing up, body, mind, presence, and doing it. You have to get credentialed once you are a member. You can go the day before on Saturday. It's at Huntington Place, and then also on Sunday as well. So the all-day Sunday. I can answer a ton of questions. I can sign you up.
Why it's on Sunday?
What?
Yes.
Explain why it's on Sunday.
It's on Sunday because MLR, Marla Richelieu, who was the former chair of the Jewish caucus, insisted that a lot of Jews couldn't participate in the democratic process because it was always on a Saturday, so they pushed it on Sunday for the first year. And that was a big thing. So people are able to participate. So this is a big win. MLR really pushed it, and they finally, under Curtis Hertel, who's an amazing chair, he pushed it. So that's a big win. So if you want information for the Republican Party convention or the Democratic Party convention, come and talk to us. It's really important to be able to show up and be present in our civic process, and they're really important in the state. We anticipate these to be really crowded this year. So what did I forget, John? Anything? Nothing? I don't think so. Nothing? Marla? Right. Yes, question? Oh,
Actually.
WCB. Yep.
Hi, I'm Eli Nathans. I'm on the executive board of the Washington Democratic Party. I want to also emphasize other endorsement meetings that are going to take place by the party. So if you're interested in the school board elections, the endorsement meeting that counts is take place on August 15th. It's in person. Getting your name, getting endorsed by the Washington Dems, getting into the voter guide is often the end of the story. Because most people don't know all the people who are running for school board. So if you care about the school board, put August 15th into your calendar. You've got to show up in person. You have to be a member of the Michigan Democratic Party, which automatically makes you a member of the Washington Dems, by 30 days before. So August 15th, that's one. Two is November 15th. That's the date that the Washington County Democratic Party is going to elect members of the county committee. The county committee, in turn, elects members of the executive board. It elects the officers. There have been repeatedly in the past attempts to, how I say, kind of take over the organization by people who are very, very well organized. They're better organized than this group is. And you have to show up to vote for those county committee members, or you're not going to have the same kind of Washington Democratic Party organization, and that's going to cause all sorts of problems. Thank you. Wow. So that's November 15th, August 15th, November 15th.
Next November.
Right after the election.
Yes.
This come in November.
Yes.
I don't see any other hands.
I just want to thank Rena. Great job. Amazing. Pretty much on time. Stick around. I was told we can stay here all night. So I just told you unplug and meet with any person that you want to meet with. I really want to thank the JCRC committee and Decky and Wendy and Rena and everyone, Julie, everyone who worked on it. I don't want to leave any names out. So thank you everyone for coming. Let's get involved. Let's get our friends involved. It's wonderful to have all the different parties, the Republican, Democrats, everyone here. Thank you very much, and let's do our job.
There's a loud, you have to be a member and then be president. But if you're elected, you're part of it.
Yeah, I'm feeling actually really good. Yeah, I'm feeling like all my am feeling better. Sometimes I get blood work, but I'm afraid to get, there's other things going on. There's a lot of wonkiness going on. So I'm trying to, like, I was gonna take it. I don't want to have my assistant at all, or even just getting over it.